You stand on the shore. A longship is nearby. Its hull is black, a serpent figurehead on its bow, eyes glowing as if alive. You are no hero. You are no Viking. You are the weak link. They wouldn't even take you. But imagine, you're thrown onto the deck. No choice. No training. No room for error. The first 24 hours, you're already throwing up. Your stomach clenches. The smell makes you nauseous. Tar, sweat, rotting fish, salty leather, blood under fingernails, seasickness. It's not just nausea. It's your body screaming. It refuses to work. You can't drink. You can't eat. You shiver. You're feverish. The sun burns. The wind cuts your face like a knife. After 48 hours, you're dehydrated. Muscles cramp. Fingers curl. You can't stand. They hold you by the scruff of your neck like a puppy. Food, dried cod, hard as rock. You chew for an hour. Your tongue bleeds. No greens, no fruit, just protein, and salt, and salt, and salt. Your stomach isn't built for this. It screams, demands vitamins, demands fiber, demands to stop. Scurvy. It starts quietly. Gums bleed, teeth loosen, wounds don't heal. You don't notice until you collapse and can't get up. Water, rainwater, in barrels, with a rotten taste. Maybe urine, if it runs out. Vikings drank urine, diluted with salt, and didn't die. You would. Night, darkness, icy wind. You shiver, under a single coarse wool blanket. Wet. You don't sleep. You hear moans. Someone coughs. Someone prays. Someone cries. Warmth. There is none. Your body temperature drops. You fall into a stupor. Muscles don't obey. You can't move. And this isn't cold. This is death approaching. Laws on the ship? Harsher than steel. Disobey, thrown overboard. Steal food, hand chopped off. Fall asleep on watch, tossed into the sea. No trial, no investigation, no regret. You wouldn't have survived. Because you are a person from another world, where pain is a reason to see a doctor, where weakness is a reason to rest, where death is a tragedy. For them, it's different. Pain is normal. Weakness is death. Death is part of the journey. Battle, your first fight. An axe splits a skull, a scream, blood in your eyes. You're wounded in the thigh, deep, to the bone. No anesthesia, no painkillers, just a rope between your teeth, and a hand tearing flesh to pull out the arrowhead. You would scream and die from shock. They would wipe sweat, chew herbs, and keep going. In 3 days, you would be dead. Not from the blow, not from illness, from the system, from the reality, from the fact that your mind couldn't handle it. It would shut down, like a server under a DDoS attack. Too much pain, too much fear, too much cold. You wouldn't have survived. Not because you're cowardly, but because only those forged in hell's furnace survived. And you're from a soft world, where comfort is the norm, and survival is a concept from games. That's why, if you were on a longship, you'd be dead. By the third sunrise, you wouldn't survive, because your stomach isn't a fuel tank. It's not trained, not hardened, not reprogrammed. Imagine, it's you. You're shaking, hands in a puddle of your own vomit. Salty, bitter, with chunks of undigested cod. You can't keep water down. You swallow and it comes right back up, as if your body has shut itself down. Your stomach cramps. Your guts twist. You fall to your knees. The deck is wet, slippery, stinks. This isn't weakness. This is system failure. Modern man, 1 day without food, already a crisis. But here, 7 days, at sea, without medicine, without rest, without sleep. You wouldn't just be hungry. You'd be disintegrating from the inside, like a server under overload. Vikings didn't eat for pleasure. They chewed fuel, fat, salt, tendons, bones crushed into flour, urine as a source of salt, goat's milk if lucky. But you'd get bones, scraps, leftovers, things even a dog would ignore. Imagine, it's you, trying to chew, jaws ache, tongue covered in bloody blisters. You gag, you cough, but you swallow. Because if you don't eat, you'll be thrown out. Not out of cruelty, out of calculation. An extra mouth, extra weight, extra risk. Your brain doesn't understand. It demands sweets, demands fiber, demands vitamin C. But it's not there. Gums start to bleed. You don't notice until you try an apple. But there are no apples. There's only salt. And salt. And salt. You wouldn't recognize scurvy. You'd just feel your body rusting, teeth loosening, legs giving way, a wound on your hand festering, not healing, because collagen isn't being produced, because the system is falling apart. And this is where it gets interesting. You fall. They don't pick you up. You're ballast. Vikings don't carry the wounded. They evaluate them. If you can't row, you're useless. If you can't fight, you're useless. If you can't chew a bone, you're useless. Your value is measured in oar strokes. In liters of blood you can lose and stay in formation. In hours you can last without sleep. You wouldn't pass the test, not even by the second day. You wouldn't die from a sword, not from a storm. You'd die from incompatibility, from incongruity, from the fact that your body is running different software. They survived because they were born into it, because they were fed lard from the age of 3, because they were rocked since childhood, because pain was the norm, not a cry for help. And you were born into a world where nausea is a reason to see a doctor, where hunger is a signal to order food, where weakness is an excuse not to go to work. Your biology is not hacked. It's protected, and from that protection, you would die. On the Longship, by the third sunrise, hunger didn't just torment, it controlled. Every day, every oar stroke, every breath. You wouldn't understand. Hunger isn't an empty stomach. It's a needle in your nerves. It's a voice in your head whispering, lie down, give up. You don't have the strength, but you can't give up, because ahead is the next shift, the next stroke, the next piece. And the piece, you wouldn't recognize it. They'd put cod in front of you, cured for a week, under the sun, under the rain, under hooves, skin black, covered in slime, smelling of rot and salt, like a dead tongue. You'd turn away. They'd hit you, because turning away means refusing, and refusal is death. You'd chew, for an hour, 2, your tongue bleeding, teeth slipping, flesh tough as rope. You gag, cough, but you don't spit it out, because if you spit it out, you'll be out of commission. You'll be thrown out, not out of cruelty, out of law. Everyone is fuel. Everyone is an engine. Everyone is part of the machine. If an engine stalls, it's discarded. You wouldn't understand. This isn't food. It's fuel, like diesel, like firewood. They chew not for pleasure, not for satiety. They chew to not die, to keep their hands from shaking, to keep their heart from failing, to keep their brain from shutting down. Your brain demands sweets, demands salad, demands coffee. There is none. There's only salt and fat and bone. And this is where it gets interesting. You're a novice. You're the weak link. You're the last in the chain. You eat last. And what's left? Bones, scraps, cartilage, pieces even rats would ignore. You'd look at it and not believe, but your hands reach. Because if you don't eat, you won't last. If you don't last, you'll be thrown out. Imagine, it's you. Your hands shake. Before you is a bowl. In it, a piece of fat, dark, with a bluish tint, floating in juice. You take it, chew, your tongue slips, your stomach clenches, you swallow, and then a spasm, vomiting. But you hold it in. You don't allow yourself, because if you throw up, that's your last chance. You sit, sweat, tears stream, but you chew, because the machine won't stop, because the rhythm continues. You wouldn't have survived, not because you were hungry, but because the system gives no respite. Every piece, a test. Every gulp, a feat. Every day, a compatibility check. You are not from this code. Your stomach is not trained. Your brain is not reprogrammed. Your body is not forged. And when you fall, they don't pick you up. You are a stop. You are a glitch. You are garbage. They didn't punish. They amputated, like rotten flesh. A transgressor, overboard. So it is said in the sagas, not as a metaphor, as an instruction. Imagine, it's you. They grab you by the shoulders. You don't have time to scream, and now you're in the air, salt in your eyes, cold in your throat, and darkness. Because no one dives, no one saves. You vanished, as if you never existed. On a longship, there was no prison, no court, no appeal. There was only the moment, and a choice. Obey or disappear, like in special forces, like in a camp. Only here, a deck instead of concrete, and the sea instead of a wall, 5 meters long, 20 men, and not a single chance for rebellion. Because if one, overboard. If two, both. If three, the whole shift. The system relies on fear, not loyalty, not honor. On fear. You wouldn't have had the strength, not moral, physical, every night, a shift, 12 hours, without a break, without sleep, without light, only the oar, water, cold, and the voice of the elder. Row. Harder. Silence. You would suffocate, from exhaustion, from the rhythm, from this endless black mechanical movement, like a conveyor belt, like a machine, like a prisoner. Corporal punishment, normal for 70% of the crew, not an opinion, a fact. Those who don't row are beaten. Those who fall are beaten. Those who vomit are beaten. On the back, on the head, on the kidneys, with whips, with hands, with the axe handle. Pain, not a mistake. Pain, part of training. Like electricity, like an electric shock when trying to escape a cage. Imagine, it's you. You're sitting. Your back is bloody, scars fresh. You can't feel your legs. You can't move your fingers. But they lift you, stand you, up, and say, row. You fall. They beat you. You get up. You row. Because kneeling is not an option. The only option is into the water. You would break. On the 5th hour. On the 3rd blow. On the 1st night. Because your body doesn't know this logic. It's not trained for suffering. It's not reprogrammed for survival. It waits for a stop. Waits for help. Waits for light. And here, only darkness. And rhythm. And the voice. Row. Pain is not the enemy. It is the teacher. The first lesson, endure. The second, do not scream. The third, do not fall. The fourth, drive the oar. The fifth, forget your name. The sixth, become part of the machine. And this is where it gets interesting. You are wounded, deeply, in the leg. Infection is setting in. You cannot row. You ask for help. They give you a knife and a rope. Cut it yourself. If you survive, you stay. If you die, no loss. This is not cruelty. It is a filter. Everyone must pass or disappear. Imagine. It's you. You are shaking. Your hands are bloody. Before you is a knife. Your leg, it feels alien. You know. If you don't cut it off, you will die. If you cut it off, maybe. You bite the rope, clench your teeth, and cut. Through living flesh, through bone, through nerves. You scream, but you row. Because the machine does not stop. Because you are either a part or a corpse. Your brain wouldn't handle it. It hasn't seen such things. Didn't know. Wasn't ready. It would shut down. Like a system under overload. And they wiped the blood, chewed bark, and moved on. Because on a longship there are no weak ones. There are only those who work, and the dead. Pain. It didn't come. It was already there. In every joint, in every nerve. Like electricity. Constant. Burning. You didn't feel your legs. You didn't feel your hands. You felt only one thing. The searing pain in your thigh. Where the arrow pierced the flesh. All the way through. You thought, this is the end. No, this is only the beginning. Scene, hand, knife, fire. They press you to the deck, hold you down, like a sheep, before slaughter. The elder looks into your eyes, says one thing, cut. They won't help, won't save, won't heal. You either cut or die. They give you a knife, rusty, dull, like a saw. It's not for cleanliness. It's for survival. Imagine. It's you. You look at your leg. It's no longer yours. The skin is blue, pulsating, rotting. Infection is going inward. You know, if you don't cut it off, you'll die. You'll die in 3 days. From blood poisoning. You take the knife. Your hands shake. They shove a leather strap into your mouth. Not for pain, for silence. A scream is weakness. A scream is death. Cut, they say. And you cut. The scraping of bone. The squelching sound of flesh. The smell of burning meat. That's you. You saw. Through living flesh. Through nerves. Through tendons. Each jerk, like a lightning strike. You lose consciousness. They lash you with salt. Get up. Finish it. You chop. To the end. And cut it off. Amputation without anesthesia for 70% of those with serious injuries. Fact. Not legend. Not an exception. A rule. The body, not sacred. The body, a tool. Broken. Replace. Can't work. Discarded. You are alive, but you are not human. You are a stop. You are a risk. They don't treat you. They use you until you fall. You sit. Blood flows, but you row with one leg. Because if you don't row, they don't feed you. If they don't feed you, you dry up. If you dry up, you disappear. Your brain isn't trained. It doesn't know how to live with such pain. It seeks an escape. And there's only one escape, death. But you don't die. Because a Viking holds you by the scruff of your neck and says, if you survive, you'll be stronger. This isn't a threat. It's a program. Survivors aren't heroes. They are filtered. Only those who stopped being human remained, who became a machine, who learned to eat pain, like food. You wouldn't have survived. Not because you're weak, but because you're not yet broken. Your body clings to comfort, to safety, to hope. But on a longship, there is no hope. There's only the next blow, and the next stroke, and the next night, where you'll cut yourself, because no one will do it for you. The body rots, not in a week, not in a day, immediately, as soon as the blood stagnates. Below deck, a stench, like a cesspit, where corpses have accumulated for 3 months. You breathe it, every second, every breath, like a gulp of rotten meat. Your eyes water, your mouth opens on its own to vomit. But you can't, because it's empty. You haven't eaten for a week, only gnawed bones. And then, the smell. It's sticky, clings to your mucous membranes, like mold. It's not just dirt. It's death in the air. Scene deck. Cracks. Below, shadows. Someone moans. Someone isn't moving. They tell you, don't look. Don't breathe through your mouth. Don't touch. But you look. And you see, he lies there, in his own excrement. The wound on his thigh, black, pulsating, as if alive. Maggots crawl out of it, white, thick, like worms. They eat him while he's alive. This is not an exception. This is the norm. Infections, not an accident. They are part of the system. Like an oar, like a sail, like a knife. 1 in 7 on a longship, with a festering wound. 1 in 3, with a fever. Temperature plus 40. Body shaking, tongue bloody. He doesn't sleep. He raves, cries his mother's name. No one listens. He is not human. He is a risk. They don't treat him. They isolate him. Like a corrupted file, he lies and rots in front of everyone, because the sea does not forgive the weak. It devours them. Imagine, it's you. You lie there, on your back, under the planks. The stench is so bad you feel like you're already dead. Your leg burns, as if a red-hot poker has been shoved into it. Skin peels off. Tendons are exposed. You reach out your hand, want to look, but your fingers feel alien. You don't feel. You only hear a squelching sound. Inside, as if someone is drinking your flesh. They don't give you water, not because they're stingy, because water is life, and you are no longer alive. You are biomass. You are fuel for bacteria. Your mind clings. It screams, hospital, doctor, injection, surgery. But here, only a knife and salt and silence. You beg. They reply, if you survive, you'll be stronger. This is not comfort. This is a test. If you don't get up, they'll throw you out. Not overboard, down, below deck, where 3 others already lie, where they no longer moan, where only maggots stir. You wouldn't have survived, not from the wound, but from the realization that you are not a patient, not a victim, not a hero. You are waste, like a cigarette butt, like leftovers, like urine in a barrel. They use you, as long as the mechanism works, and when it jams, they clean it or discard it. And this is where it gets interesting. You hear footsteps. They stand over you. One holds a knife, the other, a rope. They don't ask. They watch, evaluate your pulse, your gaze, your scent. If you smell of death, they will bury you in the sea. Now, here, without ceremony, like garbage, like a dead dog. Scene, hand, knife, darkness, a jagged scar on the elder's neck. He's been through the same. He knows that you are already dead, just not yet laid to rest. You'd hear a voice. It would whisper, you're already dead. Not loudly, not in your ear, in your bones, like a vibration. From within, your skull, a resonator. The sea, an amplifier. Waves hit the hull like a heart, 200 beats per minute. You'd stop distinguishing sleep from delirium. You're rocking, even when you lie still, even when you don't breathe. You feel something pulling you down, not hands, not ropes, the water itself. It knows, it waits. Scene night, a solitary eye and a crack in the deck. Someone looks down, at corpses. His hand trembles, not from fear, from hunger, from cold, from the thought, I'm next. The groan of the sail, like the cry of a soul, squeezed, stretched. In the wind, it flutters, like a nerve, like the last impulse before death. You'd hear it, and not understand. It's not the wind, it's the voice of a god. Not approval, not anger. Indifference. You are dust. On the blade of a sword, you are a drop. In the ocean, you are nothing. And this knowledge, sharper than a knife. Fear is not the enemy. It is an oar. You row with it, with fat, with blood, with bones. Vikings didn't pray to survive. They prayed not to go mad. Every evening, an incantation. Every step, an amulet. Every gaze at the sea, a challenge. But the gods didn't save. They tested. Whoever drowns, drowns. Whoever goes mad, goes mad. Whoever endures will eat the victor's meat. Imagine, it's you. You stand at the bow. The wind tears at your face. Salt in your eyes. A howl in your ears. You see a shadow in the water, long, like a ship. But it's not a ship. It's a serpent,
from legends. It swims with you. From the first day, you don't speak, don't scream, don't point. Because if you see it, it's real. If it's real, it waits. If it waits, you are its prey. Your brain seeks logic, finds a mirage, an illusion, fatigue. But you know, it's not fatigue. It's it. It's nearby. It swims beneath you, like conscience, like duty, like death. You can't shed your skin. You can't wash yourself. You can't sleep. Because sleep is a portal, and in the portal, it is, waiting, with an open mouth, like a grave. Seen, hand, trembling, tries to draw a rune on the deck, with a finger, in blood. It doesn't help. Nothing helps. You'd hear a scream, at night, sharp, like tearing canvas. You'd turn around. No one. Only shadows. Only waves. Only darkness. But the scream was there. You heard it. And another. And another. They come from below deck. From the water. From your head. Someone prays. Someone curses the gods. Someone asks to be killed. Quickly. But no one moves. Because movement
Is an invitation. Because noise is a signal. Because fear is already inside. And it won't leave. It will stay. Forever. Your skin crawls. Not from cold. From the feeling you're being watched. From the water. From the darkness. From the past. You feel you are not alone. You were never alone. You are part of a ritual. A sacrifice. Biomass. Food for the sea. And the sea is not in a hurry. It knows. You won't escape. You'll drown. You'll go mad. You'll jump yourself. Because dry land no longer saves. You won't get out of this current. You are already the sea. You are already fear. You are already not you. Comfort is not the norm. It's a disease. It's weakness. Vikings didn't know what a warm shower, dry socks, or hot food every day were. They knew only one thing, survival. And for that, they had to give up everything that makes a person soft. Cleanliness, sleep, hope for relief, the illusion of control. And when you understand this, you see the whole picture. Not individual trials, but a system. A unified, brutal, effective system. A system in which you would not just not survive, you would simply be removed, like excess weight, like a malfunction in the mechanism, like a weak link. Scene deck, ice, on the planks, cracks, water. Between your legs, you sit, barefoot, salty, icy, soaks in, like a sponge. Your feet, blue. Fingers don't bend, not from cold, from deadness. Skin peels off, like old paint. You don't feel, you only see, and you know. This is the beginning, not the end. The cold doesn't strike. It eats into you, like salt, like rust, like a parasite. It lives in your bones, feeds on your warmth. You don't shiver. Shivering, that's when there's still strength. You have none. You are a statue of muscle, of fiber, of fear. You can't move, because movement is pain, and pain is death. Slow, quiet, not heroic. Imagine, it's you. Your skin is covered in salt. It eats into you, like acid. Leaves wounds, cracks. You don't wash. Can't. Water is ice. Water is death. You rot dry. like a corpse in the desert. Only here, it's wet and cold and endless. You live in a freezer, soaked through, without escape, without pause, without light. Every breath, like glass in your throat. Lungs contract, you cough, but you can't stop, because it's damp and dirty and cramped. Below deck, 30 men. Stench, sweat, urine, pus. The air heavy, like lead. You inhale, and you feel how it presses on your chest, on your brain, on your heart. Seen hand, trembling, tries to cover mouth, not to breathe, but you must. You must swallow this air, this death. Your body doesn't adapt. It resists and loses. Immunity drops, like a server under overload. Every virus, deadly. Every cough, a death sentence. You don't get sick, you disintegrate, from the inside, like an old house, with rotten beams. Cold kills quietly, without glory, without honor. It doesn't chop with an axe, it shuts down. First fingers, then legs, then arms, then the head. You don't understand when it will happen. You'll just stop rowing. They'll lift you, look into your eyes, and say, "Doesn't work," and throw you out, like a broken part. You wouldn't have enough warmth, not physical, internal. You're used to heating, to sweaters, to coffee, to the body not being an enemy. Here, it's different. The body is an enemy. It freezes, it shivers, it betrays, and you can't do anything about it, because a soldier doesn't choose the weather. A soldier works or disappears. Scene night. A solitary figure, at the bow, looks into the water, doesn't see the serpent, sees only himself, and knows that tomorrow he won't get up. You wouldn't have survived, not from a storm, not from an enemy, not from hunger. You wouldn't have survived from the constancy, from the fact that every morning is the same, every day worse, every breath heavier, and there is nothing but this. Would you have survived, or would they have put you ashore? Think, not of bravery, not of spirit, of the body, of how it clenches at the first bout of nausea, how it trembles when the water below deck no longer splashes but boils from the heat of fever, how it gives up when the knife touches the skin. Would you have survived or broken? Imagine, it's you, 5th day. You don't remember when you ate, don't remember when you slept. You only remember the rhythm. Inhale, exhale, stroke, oar hitting water, like a metronome, like a verdict. You sit, back straight, hands holding the oar. But you don't row, you just sit. Because if you fall, they won't pick you up again. They would have put you ashore, not on land, in the water. Because Vikings don't keep score. They see who works, who doesn't, who rows, lives, who falls, is dead. Even if they breathe, you wouldn't have survived, because your body is not a machine. It demands breaks, demands warmth, demands sleep. It doesn't know that pain is fuel, that cold is a trainer, that death is just a number in a queue. Your brain would shut down, like a phone with a dead battery, not from fear, from overload, too much pain, too much noise, too much salt in your blood. It would just say, enough, and you would stop rowing, and you would fall, and you would disappear. They wouldn't have saved you, not because they're cruel, but because the weak are a risk. The weak are a threat to everyone. One not rowing, the ship slows. One crying, scares others. One falling, infects with doubt. You wouldn't have survived, because you are not from this reality. You are from a world where you can say, I can't, where you can leave, where you can lie down and ask for help, where pain is a reason to stop, and here, a reason to continue. You wouldn't have survived, because you are not taught to be a tool. You are a human, with fears, with dreams, with a desire to live. And on a longship, only those who have stopped being afraid live, who have forgotten how to dream, who know life can only be lived through pain. You wouldn't have survived, because you are not forged. You haven't passed through fire, haven't drunk urine, haven't chewed bones, haven't cut yourself. You don't know what true starvation is. When your stomach eats itself, when your brain asks for sweets and gets salt, when your body asks for rest and gets a whip, you wouldn't have survived because you are not broken. And to survive, you must break and reassemble. Without pity, without memory, without a name, you wouldn't have survived because you are still human, and they are not anymore. They are a system, a machine, rhythm, stroke, impact, silence, survival. You are not. Would you have survived, or would they have put you ashore? Don't answer. Just look at your hands. Trembling, sweating, feeling cold. This isn't just a reaction. It's betrayal. Your body already knows. It's not ready. It's not trained. It's not reprogrammed. It will say no for you. And then you're overboard. Scene hand falls limply onto the deck. The oar freezes. The water, black, without reflections. You wouldn't have survived because you are not a hero. You are dead weight.